So in those videos, I share those stories with them.
And we find that people, like, I think, I don't know, from all the research and my life experiences, I find people relate more to stories than they do just facts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously people who are fact people, but the majority of people will be like, okay, so I use a lot of analogies. That's my way of doing it, but yeah, I get that.
And it's just about being relatable. Like, it is 100% the truth. It's not over-exaggerating. It is what it is.
Do you find, and we've spoke about this very briefly beforehand, do you find that the quote-unquote experts on YouTube, is it a lot of fluff without substance? Are they actually just pure lying for clicks?
50-50. Like, I always struggle talking to a life coach that's like 18. Like, really? Like,
That's it.
Or a business coach. Like, there are people that have been very successful very young. But I know there's a lot of people that just talk rubbish.
Yes.
Absolutely, just. Yeah, so it's... And that actually comes back to doing research.
Yeah.
A lot of research, and that's the same as going into business, and that's kind of why, dragging it back to this, why I've done it.
Yeah,
and research is one of the main things.
It's not the reason I always suggest people have a coach, whether it's basketball, like you could be an NBA player in basketball, you could be somebody who has 20 years of experience in business, you could be somebody who's starting a business for the first time. Is we all have these blinders in certain spots, right?
Absolutely.
And nobody is an exception to that rule. Having somebody to actually catch you and be like, look, this is what you actually need to focus on. Especially what I find is a lot of business entrepreneur type people. This term gets thrown around a ton, so I don't mean it like clinically, but they all have that ADHD, like shiny thing, object syndrome thing, where they're just like, and me, like, I'm as guilty as any human person with this. I'm like, I'm gonna make a podcast. No, I'm gonna start working on this. I'm gonna start working on this. I'm gonna start working on this, and it's having that person go, hey, you know what? I'm Jeremy Vance, and this is the FAQing Security Podcast. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the FAQing Security Podcast. Today I have Bruce here, and Bruce is the owner of Winwick, which is a company that we'll be talking about a lot today.
Awesome.
Which is wonderful. Specifically for this one, what we're looking at taking kind of what you do, which is coaching and helping businesses start up, and relating that to what my audience specifically is, which is a lot of security providers and electricians and locksmiths.
Yep.
And in a lot of cases, so here's the problem with the security industry, is there's not really a progression past technician. So what happens is you go to work for somebody as an apprentice or a junior, you learn how to do it, you spend 5 years doing that, you spend 5 years then becoming a senior technician, you then run projects, but that's it. I have technicians that work for me that are more senior than I am as far as experience and everything, but there's nowhere for them to push up into. So what happens is a lot of people start what we call man with a van businesses.
Yep.
So it's always on tradies' minds of, if they're not running a union job as an electrician making, $150,000 a year, is what do they do to gain financial independence and be able to be their own boss in a lot of cases. So I think that would be a very good fit for what you do.
Absolutely, and that's the same for my trade, from the manufacturing or welding perspective, or even shop fitting, air conditioning. That's the same pathway that everyone has in a trade base. They usually become very good at what they do, they have loads of experience, and then they either go into project management or estimating roles, and they sort of hit the ceiling.
Yeah, it caps out,
100%.
Right? Yeah. So let's go ahead and start with, you started there. Already, give us a little bit of background about you and how you've gone from where you were doing, so you did metal manufacturing, and you've also owned a few businesses as well, and how you've gone from that to wanting to start Winwick. I think that's a great place to start.
All right, so my background is I am a sheet metal fabricator by trade, and then I became quite good at what I did, and sort of that whole story again, and then went into the project management side of things and estimating, and capped out basically. And I had that desire to actually do something for ourselves. The whole, obviously, the financial independence and bits and pieces, freedom, and that's sort of where it came from. And we had the opportunity to buy a manufacturing company, and it sort of grew from there, to be honest. It was an interesting road. We knew nothing about business.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing. It was quite an interesting learning curve at the start.
I don't think you're alone in that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And so we fumbled our way through business basically at the start, and ended up we had to do a lot of business courses and so forth to grow, and we got to a point that the business was doing really well, and so we decided to buy another company, which was a hair salon, and we've had that for about 8 years. We had the manufacturing company for a decade and the hair salon for 8 years, and we've basically at the stage that we no longer have them. We sold them, and we got a bit bored, so we started another company. Yep.
It's the curse of the entrepreneur right there.
Yes. And how Winwick came about was basically over the years we've had people come to us and go, hey, look, you're been in business, like, you must know what you're doing. And like, how do you start? How do you actually? I've hit the ceiling. I do this. I've done it for X amount of years for someone else. What do I do? And we've had many conversations with them about the stages and what you do. And to be honest, 99% of the people that I speak to don't go into business.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that. Is it a certain type of person that wants to start a business? Because I know a lot of people think about it, but the amount of people who actually do it is minute.
Yeah, look, I haven't quite figured out if there's any traits of anyone who fit business better.
That would be more inclined to be successful in it. Yeah.
But the people that I've spoken to, like, they all have that desire. They're all at that point of their life. Either they are married or in a partnership. They've got young kids, and they're looking for that next step. So they're about the 30 to 35-year-old mark age group that I've noticed.
Yeah, well, that's good too. A lot of the people I listen to, because obviously, when we kind of jump ahead, I guess, a little bit, because this is a question that I always bring up, is there's no, at least in America, and I assume that it's the same here, school doesn't teach you how to start a business. No, like, not at all. Like, when I finished high school, when I finished college, I still had to go to H&R Block to get my very simple single person taxes done, because I had no idea how to do my personal taxes.
Yep.
So is it the same here?
As far as I know, so my kids are going through school and they're doing aspects of business. Like, what I've noticed is certain schools, they do provide a business program and bits and pieces, but a lot don't.
Yeah.
So there's still that divide. And as far as doing your personal tax, I don't think they teach them that. But no, I'm not sure. But it's the whole. There are a few pathways for entrepreneurship and starting to come through. But again, it's very few and far between for certain schools.
Yeah. Okay.
As far as I know.
No, I imagine it does seem here, specifically in Australia, that there are, like, you'll have schools that almost specialize in different things. Yeah. Like, when we were looking at schools for Izzy, who's the only kid I really talk about on the podcast a lot. I don't know why. The other ones are more private than her. But for her, when we were looking at high schools, it was like, oh, this is a basketball high school.
Yep.
This is a volleyball high school. This is a math high school. And I'm like, oh, okay. This is weird.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the same for our kids as well. It really did. They do specialise in certain areas, and I know that there's a few in the city that do offer that more business-minded, but getting out further, no, it's few and far between.
So kind of taking a step back there. So when you were working on the two businesses that you've sold, did you have an exit plan for those, or just the right time happened and you kind of moved into that?
So the manufacturing company, no, that wasn't an exit plan. That was just I'm kind of done. I've lost my passion. I've burnt out a bit, I'm done.
Yeah.
And so that was, I'm getting out.
Mm-hmm.
And then the hair salon, no, that took a couple of years in planning to exit that business.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So there are strategies based around that, but it's what you need at that time to figure it out.
Did both of those businesses have a physical site?
Yes.
Like they have buildings? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
That's another weird thing for tradies, like in particular, is we don't have physical sites for the most. Like even I don't have a physical site. Like I do in Melbourne, but here in Brisbane I don't.
No, and that's a lot. I've got a lot of friends in the air conditioning business and the man in the van and so forth. Because having a site costs a lot of money.
Yeah, and nobody comes in for us. It's not a storefront.
Yeah.
It's literally like we would store parts there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And for the air conditioning side of things, it depends on your scale, really. You can be the man in the van, or you can have team members, and therefore you might need a premises. So it really does depend on your size of your company. I know people that are here or here or here, and again, depends what trade. The manufacturing side of things, you need a spot to do your welding and grinding and powder coating and bits and pieces. Where the IT sort of side of things, or the security side of things, might not necessarily need a...
Yeah, we also have this weird thing where we have suppliers that are... So in security in particular, the suppliers have showrooms, and because they're constantly... There's so many products that are coming out that kind of scratch the same itch, right? So you'll have... I'll just name drop some so these people will love it. So you have like Dawa and like Uprox and stuff. You can get it from Sedan, which is one of the bigger ones. If you have Hikvision and Inception, you got to get it from CSD, because Inception only sells through this company called CSD.
Yep.
So because they put out the same product under different brands, and they have their own pluses and minuses, they have their own showrooms, and a lot of them encourage you to bring your clients there and be like, here, bring them in. We could sit down with them, show them what everything does, that kind of stuff. We also have the actual manufacturers, like, so Dawa is just here locally, Hikvision's also here, and they'll also be like, bring them in. We'll run them through our showroom. So we can get away with not having a lot of overhead there, which for a small business starting up, less of overhead is always a great thing.
Absolutely.
Because running out of money sucks.
100%, and that's one of the reasons why I've created this Winwick.
So let's actually talk about that.
Okay.
Give us a rundown. So you've gone from owning businesses and kind of fumbling through the start, but learning how it all works and fits together, and people started coming to you being like, hey, you obviously know what you're doing because this is successful. How does that convert into Winwick?
So there was two avenues. I had a lot of people obviously come and speak to us about it, but then I also started to see people that have been in business for like 1 or 2 years that were really struggling. Like I'd talk to them and they would look burnt out already, and that, like, mate, you're 2 years into it, you've got a long road ahead of you.
The sophomore slump is real. 100% real.
And 100%, absolutely. And they start questioning, like, what am I doing? Like, is it financially worth it? I'm working 18-hour days or whatever it is. I don't see my wife and my kids, and is it actually worth it? So I really started to look at how I could help, and just to, I really wanted to inform them to go, right, this is what you're getting into. Like, when you start a business, you have to think about all these things. Are you prepared for it?
Yeah. Are
you truly prepared for it? Because everyone's like, oh, yeah, I've got this.
Yeah.
No.
It's the equivalent of being like, I'm going to run a marathon, and they're like, have you trained at all? I'm like, nah, I'll be fine.
No, I'll be good, yeah. I've kind of done that. It doesn't work.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Don't do it.
I don't run anymore. I'm too old to run.
Absolutely. Same boat. So I started just mapping this out and just going, right, what are the core foundations of business, and what do I think they need to know at the startup? And I wrote down everything that I thought they needed to know, and then went, right, no, that's for people that are already in business, or that's further down the track, they need to know this. And I started mapping it out, going, right, how am I going to get it across to them, whether it's audio or videos or just a fillable form, And so I just mashed it all together, basically.
And everybody learns differently, right?
100%.
So some things will be better for some people, and
Yep.
other things. Some people will learn from video, and other people have to actually be like doing stuff. To
Absolutely,
learn.
absolutely. And so I went down the route of the videos, and that it gives my experience and a few little stories and what I've come across and the highs and lows. There's some goods and bads in there, and
Which I think is important, that people know it's not just I don't know, you see YouTube influencers that are business people, and they're like, oh, when I was 18 I decided I wanted to be a millionaire, so I sold my first company for $6 million, and I'm like, dude, I'm 40 something and I'm still figuring it out.
100%. Yeah. And I watch those people as well. I'm like, really?
Yeah, right.
Mate, in the first 6 months of our business, someone went broke on us and cost us, it was 40 grand. And as a new company, that hurt. That really hurt. And so we had to learn how to deal with that and manage cash flow and everything else. So in those videos, I share those stories with them.
And we find that people, like, I don't know, from all the research and my life experiences, I find people relate more to stories than they do just facts.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously people who are fact people, but the majority of people will be like, okay, I use a lot of analogies. That's my way of doing it. But yeah, I get that.
And it's just about being relatable. Like, it is 100% the truth. It's not over-exaggerating. It's just, it is what it is.
Do you find, and we've spoke about this very briefly beforehand, do you find that the quote-unquote experts on YouTube, is it a lot of fluff without substance? Are they actually just pure lying for clicks?
50-50. Like, I always struggle talking to a life coach that's like 18. Like, really? Like,
That's it.
Or a business coach. Like, there are people that have been very successful very young, but I know there's a lot of people that just talk rubbish.
Yes.
Absolutely, just so it's, and that actually comes back to doing research. A lot of research, and that's the same as going into business, and that's kind of why, dragging it back to this, why I've done it. And research is one of the main things.
It's not the reason I always suggest people have a coach, whether it's basketball, like you could be an NBA player in basketball, you could be somebody who has 20 years of experience in business, you could be somebody who's starting business for the first time. Is we all have these blinders in certain spots, right?
Absolutely.
And nobody is an exception to that rule. Having somebody to actually catch you and be like, look, this is what you actually need to focus on. Especially what I find is a lot of business, entrepreneur type people. This term gets thrown around a ton, so I don't mean it like clinically, but they all have that ADHD, like shiny thing, object syndrome thing, where they're just like, and me, like, I'm as guilty as any human person with this. I'm like, I'm gonna make a podcast. No, I'm gonna start working on this. I'm gonna start working on this. I'm gonna start working on this, and it's having that person go, hey, you know what? You can't really do any of this until you solve problem A here, and that, I think that's a huge benefit to people.
I'm leaning in because it's true, and that's myself as well.
Yeah.
You hyper focus on this and the shiny object, and then it kind of shifts and moves, and that's business as well. I actually got a form, a download that actually I've gone through the cycle of business, and the first one is the honeymoon stage. Like, it's just this whole, you're excited and you work 18 hours a day and you're just like, woo, and then all of a sudden it just goes the whole informed optimist or optimistic and so forth. And I've added a few touches in there.
The informed pessimist.
100%.
Optimist.
I've gone through that. 100% I've gone through it, and I look back now and I wish someone had told me. I said, hey, this is what you're going to go through. And I went, oh, no.
And just to kind of pull back the curtains a little bit, literally last night, me and Shan were talking, and then I was having a moment, and I was like, maybe this is all just kind of too hard. Like, and she's like, you have to just stick with it.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay.
Yep.
She's my own little personal coach. For
but you need that. You need certain people in certain areas to keep you in check.
Yeah,
1,000%. 1,000%. So
do you find it? So just to, again, background.
Yeah.
You are quite active in coaching for youth basketball.
Yes.
Coaching business owners or coaching young girls, which is the most frustrating group.
Business owners. Business 100% business owners. And the reason for that is, again, the people that we're spoken to and the business owners, like yeah, and then they don't
do it. Yes.
They don't act on it. And you talk to them, look, this is the plan, this is what you're going to, like, I think this is what you need to do, and map it out, this is our experience, and yep, that's great, oh, that's fantastic, thank you very much. You catch up with them 3 months later, so how'd you go? Like, done nothing.
I haven't gotten to it yet. Yeah, I got distracted by building robots. This is what we always get distracted
cool.
with.
yeah. And that's the thing, like, they're still in that the house fire, the cycle, the whatever you want to call it, they're still caught up in it, and I'm working X amount of hours, I'm tired, well, do something about it.
Yeah.
I've told you, I'm giving you something to help. We kind of know what we're doing, please listen.
Yeah.
Like,
and even if it's just that 1% better, like every day, for me, one of the biggest changes I had in the last 2 years was I started using a really exact calendar. So my calendar is like exceptionally detailed, like chunk-wise. And basically, it allows me to... So I have this time in the morning where I have these, like, the whole eat the frog garbage. I have to do it. Like, I don't want to do it, but I have to do it.
Yep.
So I have this chunk in the morning where I have my projects where I have to just get through things I don't like to do.
Yep.
And then I just have, like, the afternoon is kind of more for, like, meetings and other little tasky things. And it's basically because my calendar is there and it's shared with other people, I have the responsibility to my group to do those items, and
you're accountable.
I get done. And I honestly believe that motivation is just not like a real thing. I'm sure there's people who believe that it is a thing, but my motivation sucks. It is the worst. Like, if I can sit there and scroll through, like, because I'm starting to do the whole social media thing. If I can sit there and scroll through Instagram Reels, I'll sit there and scroll through Instagram Reels. I can't help it.
And that's the same for myself. Like, the whole... so I'm the creative sort of side of person, and my wife's the numbers. She loves numbers. Okay, she gets excited about spreadsheets. And
I wasn't going to say anything, but she does seem smarter than you.
Yeah, no.
Have you met my wife? She's way smarter than me.
Jen's very much, and that's why we've done very well in business. I was the creative, the manufacturing, the actual doing, and Jen was very much about the business, the running, the numbers, and we stayed in our lanes, basically. So over 10 years, we only had about, 6 fights.
Were you more of the pusher and she was more cautious in any of those situations? Or were you both kind of go get it?
A little bit of both,
okay.
But it depends on what it was. If it was like spending 150 grand on a piece of machinery, that's very much, hey, the Minister of Finance, can we do this and plan it out? And she's like, yep, we can do this and we can produce X amount. Or, hey, I want to get new team members and this, and we'll get fine people. So it was very much the, if you look at the overall picture, we're both sort of going for it. But.
And then how does she fit into the Winwick coaching and class structure? Or is she doing her own thing, or is she included in this as well?
Bit of both.
Okay.
So she's created another company called Wicked Bookkeeping.
Wicked.
So, but that's Wicked Bookkeeping and business consultancy.
I'd like to thank our sponsor for this episode.
And so she really, again, she loves numbers, so she's basing a company around that for her, and she
Which
also,
I love that for her.
Yeah, she also loves coaching. She can go into someone's, she can look into someone's numbers and just actually can get a really good picture of how it's going, and it's really good. And then also build systems and procedures around how to get out of that whole house fire, the rotation of working X amount of hours. So she's doing that, but also supporting Winwick at the same time.
Nice.
So they actually kind of feed each other.
No, that's lovely.
Yeah, Winwick's kind of helping people get into it, into business, and Wicked Bookkeeping Consultancy is kind of helping people that are already in it.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good synergy there.
Yeah.
There's actually one of the questions that I had was, so if we say, all right, let's start here. I'm starting a new business, a new man with a van. I want to become whatever, an electrician, a locksmith. I'm going to do my own thing.
Yes.
When do I engage Winwick to help me along that pathway? So let's say I'm aware in myself that I am not been trained to start a business.
Yep. Right then.
Right then.
Yeah. So it's basically what we spoke about before. Usually a technician, a tradie, or semi-professional person, they hit that ceiling and they go, right, what's next for me? What's next? I feel like I want to do something else. That's when you engage Winwick.
Okay.
So you can go, right, you watch the videos, what's actually involved, and you can start filling in the form. It's like a to-do list, basically.
Yeah.
And
which is all I really need. Like that, most people even when I went to college and they had the first college I went to, it was like choose your adventure, like with courses.
Yep.
I didn't do well there, and then I went to a different college and they're like, this is your course list, you're doing this, and I was like, perfect. I love that.
Yeah, and it's actually really hard to make something simple.
Yeah, no, yeah,
yeah,
because there's so many little variables for everybody, right? So
it's taken a long time to make this fillable form, and again, a lot of people that will, a lot of customers of Winwick, they'll watch the videos or they'll focus on that.
Okay.
And either or works very well. This is a to-do list. They can just go through it and go, right, watch a bit of the video, right, I know what I need to do, I kind of understand what the content's about, or the foundation, or your experience, and then just they go through that and they go, right, my business name's going to be X, or my company structure, I think I want this, and they've got a whole lot of drop-down boxes next to it to go, right, to be confirmed, or yes or no, and they can, at the end of it, they can literally take it to their account and go, right, I've done all this research, I've got this is my business plan, I've thought about this structure, this is my overall view of what I want my company to be.
Help me make it
happen. Help me make it happen. Or
which is what the accountants do. Yeah, if you have a good accountant, that's what they do.
Yeah, and they should give their professional advice. Right, I think a company structure would be good for you, or a sole trader, or a partnership, or whatever they come up with. But they have the information of what your business looks like. Where when we first started, we went to it was so bad. It's in this video how bad this bookkeeper was, and we only stayed. Accountant was not bookkeeper. Accountant. They were so bad, and they set up the wrong company structure for us, and it had a lot of implications within the first 6 months. And because we hadn't done the research.
Yeah, well, and you're just going in blindly, right?
Yeah.
And just assuming this person is guiding you down the right path.
Yeah, and I remember sitting in that in the office, and they go, "Oh, so what company structure you want?" I'm like, "I have no idea." Yep, trust company, sole trader, whatever. Yeah. So that's when I'd like people to engage with Winwick to go, right, what's my next step?
Gotcha. So along that path, so we go through, we kind of get our steps going there. We build through that. How far are you taking them into that journey?
That will they'll either go into business, or they'll choose not to, which is fine. Or this will take them into about 1 to 2 years into business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so quite a ways into business. Yeah.
Even people that are in business can use this in the first 1 or 2 years. It's almost like an audit.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
They can go through and they go, right, I've got this in place, or I don't, or I hadn't thought of that. A lot of the videos actually highlight certain aspects, like even down to banks.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice. So the thing that always comes up whenever I'm talking to specifically service trades is and I didn't prep you for this question, so I apologize straight up a little bit. Lead generation.
Yep.
And clients. Is that something that's included in there, or what advice do you give people as far as that's going? Because that's a huge section all on its own.
No, you hadn't prepped me for that.
No, I didn't prep you for that at all. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. So lead generation. There's not too much in this, but what flows from it is in this. You do have your mission, your vision, your values, and that builds on to. Oh, actually, there is a little bit. I have an avatar in there, so your actual ideal customer.
Yeah, your ICP. Yep.
So whether it's business to business or business to customer, so there's 2 different avenues, 2 different lots of research. So there is actually a really good page in there that they go through and they go, right, what's my ideal customer? Who do I focus on?
Beautiful.
Who would be and so that will paint the picture of who their ideal customer is, and then they can start doing research into where they are or how many are available.
That's excellent. I could not suggest that, like, when they go through your thing, I could not suggest that more. Like, it was such a huge difference going from, well, we're trying to market to everybody.
Oh, I know. It's that blanket rule. You can't.
Yeah, sorry, you have a car driving. But trying to market to everybody rather than going like, all right, so I'm looking for IT managers from corporate clients that have multiple sites within Australia. Like, it goes from that to you're able to actually spend time aiming at the people you want to aim at instead of just being like, hey, we're spending money on AdWords and not getting anything back from it, which we have done. I think everybody's done that.
Absolutely. So, there's a component in there of that to help them.
No, that's good. That's good. So at what point... So that after that 2 years, are we talking about like so they hit that like informed optimism stage? Is that where you kind of like let them free?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It really depends on their mindset and their cycle. After that 2 year, so after the first year of business, like we didn't have any of this. We had a young lady come into our office and go like, "You need business coaching." And we were very skeptical and did a lot of research, and we did it, and it was the best thing in the world. Yeah, right. It really was. So after that 1 or 2 years in business, you kind of you do have a good understanding of your company and how things work, your customer cycles or your cash flow and everything that to do with your business. You have a relatively good understanding. That's when I encourage people to go find other business coaches. Okay. Like 100%, like whether it's local or international, whatever it is, you start doing your research and going, right, who can help me go to the next stage?
Yeah, and again, I always reiterate this with everybody. Steph Curry has a coach. Yeah, he's the greatest shooter in the world. He has a shooting coach. Like, it's just that there's no reason why I should be 2 years into a business and being like, I know everything. Like,
and a lot of people do, unfortunately. They're like, no. And then like these statistics all like everyone knows the whole 60% of companies don't last 3 years, and the fail rates and
like 99% failure on startups is like the number that always gets thrown around.
After 10 years, only 1% of companies survive.
I would be interesting because I always hear that number, and I would be curious if companies that have people who have an exit plan and actually sell their companies, if they fall in the not surviving category. Oh. I know, right? It's I always, because I'm one of those people where when I hear numbers, I'm like, how are they spinning this number? Like,
I'm not too sure about that because they have survived. If they sell and they get out, you've survived. Where I could be wrong, like closing down, running out of cash flow, or
would be not surviving.
Is not surviving.
See, I agree that's how it should be. I have a feeling that 1% number is only like, these companies are still in business after 10 years.
Yeah, closing down your ABN or whatever is not a fail. It's a
What's the name Winwick? What does that mean?
That is actually, so my last name's Win, and Jen's maiden name was Wickens. So I actually just mashed them together, and I had the choice of doing Winwick or Wickwin.
And you
wanted my name first.
Yeah, exactly. I get that. Yeah.
So that's how it came about. Because we work well together, and it's kind of how it came through.
I like that. I try to tell this every podcast, is that I call it the FAQing Security Podcast. But when I was like thinking up the name for it, I was like, it's the FAQing Security Podcast. And then I was like, that's probably like not really marketable.
No, there's probably a few red flags there.
I might as well just call it the FAQing. And then originally,
I like it,
originally it was me just answering questions. Okay. Like people would send in questions, or I'd get questions through my day life, and I'd answer them for all the security things. And I'm obviously, this is more fun. The talking to somebody is way more fun than me just sitting in front of a camera going, and if you want cameras, you should go start at this brand and then work your way up. Don't go below this brand.
It's $100 or $500. Yeah.
And if you need help, call me.
Link in below.
Link in bio. All right. Unrelated to any of this, why can I not put a link in a reel in Instagram?
I'm new to it all, so I'm trying to figure it out myself, and that's so you find out, you let me know.
All right, you could put a link in a story, but you can't put a link in a reel, and it pisses me off.
Okay.
Somebody explain to me why that is. That'd be wonderful. All right, so we talked a little bit about the lack of training in school.
Yep.
Why? All right, so we obviously have that point where people are hitting that cap and they want to do something. But even for younger people who are interested in entrepreneurship, which I think is honestly a great thing.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of negatives that come with owning a business. And I don't mean this to be scary, but there is, right? So you're responsible for everything.
Yep.
If you fall behind, you're the one picking up the slack. If something's not working, you're the one not sleeping at night while you're trying to figure out. But I feel, it may not be for everybody, but for me, I feel like there's a lot of positives as well too. So when somebody's coming to you and they're saying, well, why should I? Well, what do you kind of come back with?
I was actually thinking about this before, because everyone does focus on the negative, and not that this is the negative side of things. It's very much to inform you what you're getting yourself into. But the payoff can be what's the word? Can be worth it. It is worth it. A lot of people go, oh, look, I want to be in business for freedom and financial freedom. Yep, but you got to work for it.
Yeah.
But you can get it.
Yeah.
The lifestyle, a lot of whether you're the technician or so forth, I know a lot of guys that work very hard in their business, but they get to have time off and go to the school plays, or when they want. They don't have to ask permission or for time off. They don't have to. They can kind of work around it. Yes, I need to do this, or I get up super early to go do this job or whatever it is, but I can knock off here and go out with the wife or the family, or can go on holiday, or all right, I have a bit of extra cash because I'm paying myself what I am worth it. So it is worth it 100%.
On that, what are your thoughts on avoiding that? When you start a business, you're just creating yourself a job. Like because that's never my goal. I want to be working on the business, not in the business. Those are always my goal. How do you avoid that pitfall? And is it a pitfall?
Everyone has to go through that, but it goes back to your vision and mission. Because if you are going to be a man in a van, so one person, sole trader, or even a company, but it's you, everything relies on you.
Yes.
So that's how I see not to fall in that pitfall. You need team. You need a team member. And what we did with the manufacturing company, we had about 12, 13 people work for us. And whether they were the estimator or the foreman or the guys actually manufacturing it, like there was that hierarchy. So that gave us the flexibility to go on holiday, knowing that everything still can work.
Works perfect.
But don't get me wrong, it's not just walk away in happy days. You have to have system, procedures.
You have to put all the work in to get it to that spot.
But that's working on it and not in it. And again, but I fell into that pitfall. I did like manufacturing or making stuff, and so therefore I would overcommit, and then I'd have to jump on the tools, and then I'm concentrating on this, and I wasn't
working on that.
Or working or servicing my customers, like whether it's getting quotes back on time, and then there'll be that lull in about 3 months' time, purely because I've been pulled out of the business. So it is very much that, and it's trying to how to figure it out. And I think having a company at a certain size with a certain amount of people in it can provide you that.
That's wonderful. Now, you've mentioned vision and mission a couple times now.
Yep.
Which is part of what they go through in the program, and they kind of... Can you give us an example of both those things and how they're different? Or is a vision and mission the same thing?
No, slightly different. I didn't think you were going to ask me that. So
I'm so sorry.
No, it's all right. I should know it off by heart, but it's sometimes with each company that we've had, they've been slightly different. So you can actually even go into it. You can have different vision and missions and even values for certain companies.
Yep. I was listening to a thing the other day on the Diary of a CEO podcast. You had the guy who did Snapchat on it, and one of their values was kindness. And I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Like, I never even think of that, but I just I love that.
So the values, I had these are basically from your personal values, which kind of tie into your business. It's that extension from the top down. It's an extension of you. Like, you go into business for a certain reason, and those values sort of get ingrained into it. So the values that we actually had changed a little bit, but for the workshop and Winwick and so forth, look after yourself so you can help build others.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a value. You have to look after yourself.
Yeah, put your mask on first before helping
vulnerability. It's okay if you don't know everything.
Yeah. I actually saw a video just the other day of some guy going, "Don't trust a boss if he can't say I'm sorry or that's a good idea or I was wrong."
Yeah,
So,
and everything builds onto each other. It's amazing if you talk to a guy, one of your team members, and go, "Hey, look, I actually don't know."
yeah.
Like, seriously, give me half an hour or a couple of days. I'll figure it out and I'll let you know. And
I also appreciate that. So personally, I hire technicians who are smarter than I am.
yeah,
Like, so there's a point where, like, we had one just recently. They're like, "Hey, this isn't going to work. This is too long." And I'm like, "Cool, what do we do?" And he's like, "Well, we could do this." I'm like, "Cool."
100%. Like, giving them the encouraging and giving them the power to be able to do it. Absolutely, and
Turns out the quality is better on those ideas anyways than if I force them to do something.
Yeah, and you create a better environment for them.
Yeah.
And it's that whole, we even mentioned it before, the life cycle of a employee for a small business is about 3 years, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And we had people that worked for us for 8 years, 7-8 years. But that's going back to that, like being vulnerable and just being honest and go, right, I'm sorry, I actually don't know this.
Yeah.
Or, hey, you are smarter than me. Give me 3 ideas, like how do we work it out as a team?
Even for my customer-facing team members, we do a very similar thing. Like, I tell them straight out, it's okay to say you don't know.
Yeah.
Like, as long as it's I'm sorry, I don't actually know the answer to that, but I will find you the answer for that.
Yep.
I'm okay with you being like, look, man, I don't know. Yeah.
1,000%. And even in the manufacturing side of things, we've done that to our customers. I'm sorry, I don't know how to weld brass or whatever it is, but I'll find out and I'll let you know in a timely manner. Blah, blah, blah.
Exactly, yeah. And that's just wonderful customer service. Actually, is all that is. All right. So the other one I had, coaching. Now, so you have the plan in place. You have your videos. You have your forms. Mm-hmm. Do people actually get to have one-on-one conversations with you, or are you behind some sort of, like, is there a divide there for, like, privacy reasons?
There's not at the moment.
Okay.
There's not that one-on-one coaching. Again, it's that whole, what we spoke about before, like the whole shiny object. You got to focus on one thing first, do it well, and then add on it.
And this is for you.
Yeah.
I love that.
And again, I wrote so many things down going, right, I think they need to know that and that. And that. I had to pull it all the way back purely because I needed to make sure that I got something something that they can actually use in a timely manner without trying to overcomplicate things and trying to overcommit and underdeliver. I hate overcommitting and underdelivering. Yeah.
Roughly, you don't have to give me the exact hour or minute thing, but roughly, how long did it take you to eat that entire frog, to create that entire thing?
That's been about two and a bit years.
2 years.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess a year and a half to 2 years.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me because I've kind of just from our conversations and stuff, I was like, there's a lot in here.
and like that was kind of from going, no, I'm going to start mapping it out. Even prior to that, Jen and I have always spoken, how can we make something mandatory for business owners? Like, it's always been that conversation that we really do think that people go into business really do there needs to be something that they have to do, because what's the worst thing that can happen? You can go broke.
Yeah, you could literally
you can get
crater
divorced.
your life.
You can lose your children. I've seen it. I've 100% seen it, and it actually hurts my soul to talk to someone and go, hey, look, I've been in business. I'm struggling. My wife and I aren't talking. I'm $173,000 in the hole. What do I do?
Yeah.
Like, they're in tears, and I'm like, mate.
Take a breath.
Yeah, and so I really want to help prevent that for people. I really do.
So along that line, so again, I like that idea because I need a driver's license to drive a car. I need an EWP license to get in a scissor lift.
Yes.
And those are, those are, as you could have cratering disasters with each of those.
Absolutely.
That is exactly the same. So for for somebody watching this and they're like, I could do it alone, I'm fine. What are, like, the big mistakes? What's the thing that you see that you go, all right, if they didn't make this mistake, they would have been able to stumble on. Because granted, keep in mind that when we were starting businesses, we were stumbling along, and even though we've had our downsizes, we've come out mostly unscathed, right? But obviously there's people who aren't. So what is that thing that causes those people to crash out? Other than buying a restaurant, which is what causes people to crash out.
Or cafes.
Cafes.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Yep. I think there's about 3 things. They have to be passionate about what they do. It sounds funny, but you actually have to be passionate about what you are doing, because that actually helps you through the tough times.
Yeah, and making money is not the passion. It's actually the work.
Yeah. 1,000%. 2.5 years in the making. 10, 11 o'clock at night, sitting at the computer, trying to figure things out, or whether you're welding up a bench for a customer that they need to pick up in the next morning at 12:30 at night. Like you have to be passionate about what you do.
That's over 700 days of you deciding, yes, I still want to do this.
Yeah.
Like, that's
that
passion.
puts it in perspective.
Yeah.
So that's number 1, passion. Number 2, if they don't sort it out, cash flow.
Cash flow.
Cash flow. They have to have a plan around cash flow.
It's the blood, right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Business.
And that's actually usually the first question that I get asked. Hey, you're in business. How do I do it? How much money do I need? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And there is a cash flow and a budget component in here to help them figure out what they might need, their startup costs, what the one-off costs or so forth that looking to get into business. And then there's they say roughly 3 to 6 months worth of cash flow you need for operating costs. There is and again, it's a rough guide because there's so many different variables. They have to put it in there. But if they don't sort it out, what's the worst that can happen? You do 700 hours worth of work, you have roughly an idea, and then you go broke.
Yeah, yeah. And
in the first 2 months.
Then you're getting a job at Bunnings.
Yeah, 100%.
And cash, guys.
You're $100,000 in the hole.
Yeah.
That's cash flow. And number 3, what was the other thing?
I do this to people is I start commenting on what they're saying halfway through, and then they're like, and there was a third thing.
Yes, there was. Thanks.
Like Jeremy's a jerk.
Yeah. No.
It's okay.
I'll have to think about it.
No, yeah, it's more than okay. 2 things is still good, guys. But honestly, that's like the passion thing. I completely agree with. Oh, did you remember anything?
It actually goes back to the vision and mission.
Okay.
Yeah, it does. Because the passion, you need to have the passion, but that's your personal desire to do it. But as a company you need to have a plan of where the company's going or so forth, so you can, when you get people in here, they can resonate with that. Yep. So you don't have to work in it, you can work on it. Yes. So it's passion, vision, mission, and cash flow.
So the way that I see that, the way I process things is obviously through analogies. Like that's how I learn and how I process everything. For me, company, when I think of company, your words are the vision and mission. What I always think of is like, all right, so if we're in a boat and everybody has an oar, like we need to know where we're going. That island over there, that's our mission. We're getting to that island. As soon as you say we're going there, everybody picks up an oar and they start rowing in the right direction.
That's good.
Yeah, if you're like, we're just here to make money, and that people start rowing in different, or nobody knows where they're going, right? So I agree with that wholeheartedly.
And the vision is actually, once we get there, we're going to be building this, we're going to have this, and this is what it's going to look like. So that's basically how it ties in.
I love that. I love that. Now, the other side of that is, if you had to give us the 3 yes, do this items, what would those be? Put you on the spot. First off would be go with Winwick. And
it's going to be a selfless plug, because it's about the research. Whether it's this or something like that, you have to do research, but you need to know what you need to research.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, what are you doing? You're literally Googling for about 47 hours.
I have watched so many YouTube videos in my life and read so many like Harvard Review business. There's a truth to the idea that if I learn a million things, I've learned nothing. Yeah. Because I know all. That's how I am with marketing right now. I'm trying so hard to learn marketing.
Yep.
And I've seen so many things and read so many things and worked on so many things, and now I'm just like, I don't know if I'm actually any further along.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the same for myself.
Yeah.
And you get into that track, like you try to consume as much information as possible or learn, but you get overwhelmed, and therefore you go, right, I actually know nothing.
Yeah.
Like, what path am I going to take? I have no idea.
That's why I actually love the checklist idea. In the same way I was talking about my college, is if I know, because I'm a little bit of a doer, so if I know, if you go, you need to do this, I'm like, let's do that.
Yep. And look, some of the videos are like 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
Like explaining an ABN or an ACN or TFN, whatever it is. But I also got to think that if you're back at the start, and if you don't know, you need someone to tell you.
Yep.
You might already know, but you might just skip ahead a few, or so it can literally just be yep, I want that, tick, like done, next list, next thing. All right. Learning company structures, that does not enthuse me at all, but you do need to know. You have to know a component of it. Yeah.
I completely agree. So we have that.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching is obviously important, knowing where you're going.
Yep. Is
there anything as far as like, so you work very closely with your family?
Yes.
And you guys work really well together?
Yes.
There's a guy named Gary Vee, which anybody who kind of follows of
Absolutely.
what we do knows who Gary Vee is.
Yes.
He's very big proponent on hiring family and people that are within your inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on more the other side because I try to avoid mixing drama and like pressure. And I feel that people who know me will go, oh, Jeremy's a very nice human being and he's very kind.
Yep.
But there is also boss Jeremy who is not very nice and not very kind.
Yep.
No, I mean, I am, but it's not like there's times when I need stuff to get done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Absolutely.
And I'm always afraid to like mix that. But for somebody who's coming into like, so we have the man with the van situation and they have the wife wants to do the admin or bookkeeping.
Yep.
Is that a yay or nay? How do you decipher that?
There is a video on this because it can be problematic. It really depends. So Jen and I, we had our separate lanes. Mm-hmm. I didn't cross over into trying to do her on the books or anything because I didn't understand, and
which makes it easy.
She couldn't weld.
Yeah. I like that.
She could, like, yeah.
She probably could. She just told you she couldn't.
Yeah. She'll get out on the workshop floor and start cutting things and I like to help out, but give me a P&L or a set of books, I'm like, glaze over. But so working with family or close friends, it is a very tough one. I would only ever work with Jen. Mm-hmm. Working with family, I would potentially avoid that a little bit more. But again, the whole learning from the manufacturing company, we employed people, and then they became team members, and then they became friends.
Yes.
But then you actually also still have to be the boss.
Yes.
And so I've had arguments, and it hasn't worked out very well with team members purely because I said, no, I'm sorry, but you have to do it like this because it's our values, or I want it like this. And they give pushback, and then you got to put your big boy pants on and be the boss, and go, I'm sorry, but no, you have to do it. And it becomes arguments and so forth. Same as lending money to friends. I go into that component as well, like lending money or having money lent from friends or family. There can be issues, but how to not avoid it. You can still do it, but you need to have strict like contracts in place, and just so it's communication.
Yes,
and it really
that
is.
candidness thing again. That's a big Gary Vee thing.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Like someone might think $100 isn't much to them, but the person that lent it to them, $100 is $100.
It's a huge amount.
Yeah. And
hell, man, I remember when like if somebody wanted like $10, I was like,
oh yeah, when am I getting that back?
Yeah.
So working with it can work, but it also cannot, and you can lose friendships, and people can judge you, and everything that you need to be very, very. You've got to have boundaries.
I like that a lot. Now there is, I guess, numeric numbers, like statistic-wise, companies are more likely to succeed with a partner than they are like on their own. If you're looking for a partner, then, and you're not going down the family route,
Yep.
what would you be looking for business partners? Not so much investors at this point,
Okay.
but more business partners. I guess the business partner could be the money, but I'm always so wary about that.
Yeah, look, you could do the whole Richard Branson thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was obviously good at that, but he got smarter people in.
Yeah.
And so it really depends on your skill set and what you're very good at, and bringing someone else in, they need to complement
That skill set.
that skill set. So, but it ties back to what your vision and mission and all that looks like, because if you go, hey, look, I want to create this, but get in a person that does marketing, sales, or something, but you want to head that way, or what am I trying to say? You need to look at the big plan to be able to bring someone else in that can complement you.
I agree. And I guess from the smart side of it is you don't bring in a partner or somebody that you can just hire their services to get the same effect, right?
Yeah, and it goes back to what picture you're trying to...
that mission and...
Yeah, what you're trying to build.
Yeah.
Something else I was going to say about that.
I ruined your train of
Yeah, I
thought
know,
again.
right?
I'm so
Like, what was
sorry.
it was a good point. It was great. Like, it was going to be life-changing.
It was going to be the breaker.
And woo, but no. I'll think about it in a minute.
No, it's more than okay. So, yeah, and we talk about... Or the thing... So, me and my friends have been talking about this a lot because we heard it about the guy that did Snapchat about T-shaped leadership, where you have... So, if you have a horizontal graph where you have all your different skills and knowledge...
Yep.
You have... We want people who are shallow but informed on almost everything, but then have a specific skill that they're incredibly in-depth knowledge on. Which is something that we're kind of like trying to make sure that we have is like, so me, I'm very much a generalist, right? So I do a lot of things average, but nothing really bad.
Yep.
And for me, it's now going through and just trying to find like, okay, what are the skills that I do exceptionally well, and how do I strengthen those while still keeping my breadth of knowledge like as wide as possible throughout the company. So I don't know. That's something. I don't know. Do you find that people starting companies are just really deep on one thing, but maybe don't understand the breadth yet? Yeah.
And that goes back to the whole the trade, or that person capping out their ceiling. Like they're very good at what they do.
We hope.
Yeah. Look, be good at what you do. They have a strong skill set based around that, but they don't know anything about business or the financials or anything. So it's the typical tradie, and I can say that because I'm a tradie. I learned welding and this, and then capped out. I should have been learning other aspects of something else to help support, whether it's going to uni or doing other business courses,
or a course like this,
or a course like that. But I capped out, and I hit a ceiling for quite a few years. Going, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, what more is there?
Yeah, you just stuck. Your wheel is spinning, but not going anywhere.
And so I had that. I don't want to be 52 years old, working on my knees, trying to weld something that's on the ground. Like I wanted more. Like, and that's the thing. That unfortunately, or climbing in a roof space to install air conditioning or camera systems or whatever it is. So there was that desire that I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what to do, and I kind of stopped learning. And that's the narrow. You have your skill sets of X, Y, Z, but you need to be that branched off to be able to. Again,
link it all together.
100%. And when you're hiring someone, there's a good book, The E-Myth.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've never read that one.
It's actually the very first book that we had to read for our business course.
Oh, nice.
Because a lot of people, when they go into business, man in a van, or they start off, they get really overwhelmed and like, oh, I'm going to hire Jeremy to come do the books. Yep, cool. There you go. Cool, I'm off. Like, seriously. And then they leave you to drown or to try to fight for everything. And I'm like, this is going great. Jeremy, he's got it covered. Yep, happy days. And then all of a sudden, Jeremy goes, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done.
I'm out. And then it's like, what, why? Why aren't you happy? Why? And why? All the why questions come out.
Yeah.
And because there's no structured in place, but I kind of need to set it for you.
Yeah. In essence, you're like, all right, you row the boat, and I'm gonna go have a drink in the back. Yeah.
That's the essence of the book, basically, and it gives some really good examples. And I was reading them. I've done that. I've done that. I've done that.
That's the worst.
I've done that.
Like, these like cringe moments. You're like, my entire life is cringe.
1,000%. And Jen was reading it, and I was reading it, and I'm like, what have we done? Why? Well, poor Dave, and Dave was actually a person in the company. I was like, poor Dave, and poor Shane, and like we did this to all these team members. And I'm like, man, I should have been a bit more supportive here or a structure here, but that actually taught us to put things in place. So,
I have the same thing. I look back on like almost every decision I make, and I'm a big proponent of make a decision even if it's the wrong decision.
Yep.
But when you look back, I may be better off than not making a decision, but I still have to live with the cringe of all those decisions for every time I make the wrong one.
Been there, done that. 1,000%. You just keep playing over, I should have done that. Why did I choose that option?
You're like, I really just want to go to sleep.
I know, yep. I am trying to sleep, but why?
Yep. All right, so... So, sorry, that was me thinking. That was me processing in my... It was like the hard drive spinning up. So you've been doing this for a little bit now, and you've obviously have people you know who have gone through business without having a coach.
Yep.
What are you seeing? And I'm not meaning numbers, but I want to know kind of what the difference is. Like the actual application of using a coach, these people are less stressed because of this. Like what if we were selling that to somebody who was starting a business, being like, this is actually what we want you to get out of this, what would those items be?
It would actually be to have an understanding of what they're getting into and a checklist of these are the things the fundamentals that you actually have to think about. So it's that whole confidence. That's what I want them to have to be able to go to the next step. Not going into it going, have I got everything sorted? Like what's going to pop out? Like there are always going to be things that catch you out, but I kind of cringe at the term, but that foundation.
I love that term.
Look, it's like bespoke. Everyone throws it around, and but having that foundation to go right, I'm actually relatively confident and comfortable that I've looked at all the aspects of the business of a new business, and I've got things in place to be able to go to the next step. That's the conversations that I've had with my friends that are business owners that have been in it from 2 years to 32 years, and they're going, I wish I had this, or that would have helped tremendously back when I was starting, because
just they think about how much time they wasted on bad decisions in the beginning,
or talking to the wrong person. They're at the pub and there's old drunk Joe. Like you have no idea what you're talking about, because a lot of people will give their opinion, but not actually have been in business.
Yes,
everyone's happy to give their opinion, but not actually understand.
That's true though. Everybody has an opinion, right?
Yeah, and it's what you listen to. And it's what you take on. So that's actually been a big lesson for us.
And then in fairness, there are people as well. I know quite a few that you'll give them advice or opinion, and they'll just do whatever they want to do anyways. So that's always a thing. Nice. All right. I had a cat come and start.
That's fine.
It just never ends. So many pets here. Now, you talked about that passion. So having a passion is what kind of gets you through that ebb and flow of... Because I think what happens, and this is anecdotal, I don't have a number for this, but I think what happens is people, when they hit that informed pessimistic stage, the majority of people just go, I'm just going to go get a job. Right? And they don't push through that stage. If somebody is looking to start a business, but they don't know what they want to do. I was actually talking to a friend last night, and he was like, my wife wants to start a business. She doesn't know what she wants to do, but she wants to maybe do something in e-commerce. I'm like, okay, interesting. We kind of brainstormed some stuff. But how do you, if somebody comes to you and they're like, I want to start a business, but I don't know what. What do you tell them?
It's actually interesting, because that's how I came up with this.
So it's a good question.
I'm trying to figure out the answer. There was columns. Basically, you write down everything that you're passionate about, or and you actually rate it like 1 to 10. And you actually, it's a number system, and you basically go through and you go, right, like helping people. Do you like helping people? Yes, it's a 10. Do you like numbers? No, that's a 0 or a 5. And like all your aspects of your life and what excites you and what you're not, and you actually rate it, and then you actually start working through and go, right, it's a business, e-commerce business that's based around helping people, or whether it's clothing, or like I love design, I love architecture, so that's a 10. Well, what can I base? And then you start doing your research on like different niches, and so that's how you can kind of focus it down or funnel it down relatively quickly. And then there's no one thing. I like if I turn around and say, "Hey, go start a welding company," you'd be like,
no.
So
I'm like, hard pass.
But that's why you kind of need to start mapping it out. That would be my advice, to write down all your all the things that kind of like coaching for myself, basketball coaching. And again, just so everyone knows, I don't coach basketball because I know basketball. I'm not actually that technical when it comes to basketball. The reason why I coach is that whole mindset, to build the because I truly believe that these kids are going to be the next entrepreneurs, or the managers, the technicians, and they have to learn to work with people.
The amount of life skills involved that you're teaching when you're coaching young kids is insane. And
that's why I do it, because I truly believe that at some point they will be in a difficult situation that they have to talk to someone, or they want to build a business, and they need to have that life skills or that support. So that's kind of that's why I coach basketball. 1,000%. And
so when you did this for yourself,
yes,
you were like, I want to help people, I want to coach people. What do you know? I know how to run a business at this point in time. So you basically went through your own steps to actually create the product that you're
1,000%. Like that's my business plan there. I've used it for myself.
Beautiful. That's amazing.
And like it was testing it as well to make sure it worked. To go through.
Well, you have to, right?
1,000%. And it, again, on that list, I said I'm a creative and I love manufacturing, but would I do manufacturing again? No. I've done that. My passion is now this. So that number I would have circled like a 3, because I still enjoy it, but would I be passionate enough to do it as a business again? No.
Do you cover anything that kind of helps people understand the difference between like pivoting and giving up if they hit? Because it's such a weird, delicate situation. Like when to know if you're like, so if I start a business and I'm like, I want to sell keychains with LEDs on them that have, puppy faces. And then I realize like 3 months into it that I'm like, all right, for me to get the keychains shipped in for blah, blah, blah. I just making this up off the top of my head, guys.
It's a business model.
I'm supposed to call you chat, like the cool kids do. But if I find that that's not working, instead of just giving up, how do you talk to people about pivoting? Or
so pivoting's not in there at the moment. That was kind of the next stage.
Just put a little thank you to Jeremy.
Awesome. Thanks for highlighting that.
No, everything. This is a pivot.
But that kind of goes back to, and I know people will probably cringe with it, but the whole vision and mission. Like you need to have a plan. Like it needs to be a 3-year plan. You need to have cash flow to be able to support that. You need to have the passion to be able to support that. And yes, there will be points that you do need to pivot. COVID came. How many people had to pivot about that?
That was the giant pivot as of in the last 5-10 years.
Right? The hair salon. I know people with gyms. Like no one could go to a gym, so people were actually renting out equipment. Their equipment, they would drop it off and have it as a rental.
That's brilliant. Actually.
But it's pivoting. A lot of breweries ended up making hand sanitizer. So the whole pivot.
Like out of the
they used.
Like their beer making equipment, make hand sanitizer.
Oh,
there you go, man.
There was quite a few in the city that we're a brewery, but we're selling hand sanitizer.
Technically, it's like alcohol.
And so pivoting is massive, and even for the manufacturing company, pivoting when a certain industry went quiet, we had to look at other other aspects. So that's that. I look at that as more like the 2 or 3 year mark when you're into business. Hopefully, it doesn't happen sooner.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, you don't want it to be day 2.
Yeah, day 2. Keychains. Now I'm selling computers.
Yeah.
No, like that. Yeah.
The life of a drop shipper right there, man.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, never got into that.
Same. It was, I actually looked into it pretty heavily a few years back, and I was like, I'm not a fan. My personal self is I like solving problems.
Yep.
That's like, so if we're doing your thing, I like solving problems.
Yep.
So what I do, obviously, with security is we sit down and we look at your site or your infrastructure and we go, here's the problems that we have, and then I create something that actually solves that specific problem.
Yep.
And that's what I like doing about my job. So for me, that's the passion, is problem solving. Where drop shipping was more like all right, I have this product. I think this product's going to sell. I'm going to make a bunch of ads. I'm going to put it on my website. I'm going to dump them into Meta.
Yep.
Boom. And then if it doesn't work the next week, I'm going to try a different
Move
ad
on to something else. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just was not interested.
Yep.
That passion, not there.
Yep. And that's when it starts to drop off and you're not seeing the returns. Like that's when you usually go, I'm going to move on to the next thing because I'm not passionate about it.
Where's my next shiny object?
That's it. Yep.
Now, here's how I know people can trust you, and why I know I can trust you is I just gave you a question that was not within the structure of what you came on to talk about, specifically the pivoting thing.
Yep.
And you answered that question with information, anecdotal evidence, and also like real world evidence. Like it's one of the things that I always find when I'm looking at like even interviewing people to hire.
Yep.
Is if I give you something that's a little bit off the wall.
Yep.
How do you communicate that, and how do you problem solve that question, and how do you relate that to things that really exist? Those are like the 3 things I look for, and you handled that exceptionally well.
I passed.
So, yeah, good job. High five.
High five.
This is now a thing. Everybody gives me a high five at least once in a podcast.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Erin would probably be disappointed because I told her I was going to try to edit it so when we high fived, our hair would like explode. I never did it.
Seriously?
I could not edit it. I'll just make steam.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
like the. I think there's an old Hercules movie and Hades has like steam coming. Yeah. Sorry. All right. We're coming closer and closer to the end because we have been doing this for an hour and I know you have stuff to do. Okay. But one thing that comes up a lot, and we've talked about it, is funding can get you in a lot of trouble. I'm always really hesitant about bringing on money because I don't like the idea of being beholden to other people. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to be in business for myself.
Yep.
And then B is there's always this bringing on somebody who doesn't know that field or industry but just wants to dump money into it and how involved they want to be later on in life.
Yep.
But bootstrapping is incredibly hard. Like the amount of like planning, and so when you're talking to people, what kind of advice are you giving them on those 2 fronts?
It's a tough one because I've been on both sides of the fence, and even I was talking to a coffee shop owner the other day, interviewing him about this and his journey, and he said that he got into a situation within 1 year of business. He had he reached out to a few family members and like to invest, and again that investor wanted to put X amount of money in, but he wanted to see the books, like go through the whole thing and a massive contract, and really were putting the squeeze on, and I want 35% of your business and I'm going to be this, and just the chap that I was talking to was like the whole gut feel going, it's not feeling right. I feel like this guy's going to take over my business and I won't be able to make a decision. Like, and a lot of people that go into business are that creative. They want to come up with their own company name. They want to create their own product and their own price list, and they want to set out their shop a certain way and look a different way, and
it's an extension of them.
Absolutely. Yes. So if you've got someone else that comes in and goes, no, like accountants or lawyers and like bean counters, I'm looking at the camera, like they look at figures, okay? They're not as much the creative.
It's an efficiency thing.
Yeah, no, you don't need that because you don't get a return on it. Yeah, but it creates an environment that the customers feel comfortable and So going back to the question, you really do need to be careful on who you bring into your business financially, and again, it comes back to a strict contract. But
it's a tough one.
Yeah,
I do know.
Because if you don't bring it in, it can be 2.5 years.
Yes, it is the question of how quickly do you want to scale is the hard part. Man with a van type situation.
Yep.
Usually, overhead right off the gate is they need a laptop. They need a vehicle of some sort because they've probably been using a company vehicle.
Yes.
Most of the time, they'll have their tools all organized and sorted.
Yep.
But there's not. It's the man with the van model is so hard to scale. Like it's almost impossible because there's no time if you're good at bringing in clients. There's literally no time to do anything. Even invoicing jobs is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Whereas if you want to scale, you almost need that funding to actually kind of push you out of the day-to-day business.
And I even cover that in a few videos, like how we did the manufacturing company first. We borrowed X amount of dollars that I mentioned in there, and it was already a pre-existing company, so I already had customers and a little bit of structure in there, and so we're able to take it from here to there. Where man in a van, it's very hard to go from here to here to here because it's a massive stepping stone. You don't have the structure, and you do find that a lot of people that you want to bring in, everyone goes, it's really hard to find team members and the ones that are good, they want to do it themselves anyway. So it's that whole.
There's a little bit of that.
1,000%. So it can be done, but you really need to have that plan. That it's gonna. In year 2, I want to take the business from man in a van and turn it into I call it a company. You are now not technically on the tools as much. You
boss and 3 technicians.
That's the hierarchy that you need to. Yes, you'll still have the 7 hats. You need to be the cleaner, the psychologist, the everything. The bookkeeper, the whatever else. But it really is that transition, because I've got a lot of friends that have the man in the van situation, and they call me once a week going, what am I doing, Bruce? Why am I doing it?
Yeah.
And
that's it, right? Because it is still, you basically have bought yourself
a job.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's it is a tough one. It is something that they need to have that vision of where they're going for it. Which I know you were like, I actually think out of this entire conversation, that's probably the most important takeaway that I think somebody should take away from this. As wonderful as everything is if you, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter how much you love doing, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going anywhere.
No, that's exactly right.
Yeah, you don't accidentally, like people who are very successful don't accidentally become very successful. No. Some of them have like an easier runway because they have resources available to them.
Yep.
But there's people who do it that don't, but they know what they want to do and they know where they want to go, and it's just that step by step by step by step by step by step.
And that's exactly right. And it's okay not to know 100%, and it can pivot and it can change, but you need at least something to aim for.
Yeah.
In this, I do have the mission and vision and values, and the values are actually the easiest one to come up with because they're usually your personal ones. Yeah. But a lot of, like when we first did it, everyone, you need to your vision and your mission. I'm like,
you're like, I'll deal with that when I deal with the fluffy stuff.
Basically, I thought it was a lot of fluff, and so in here I actually give the option of objectives. Like aim for something, like whether it's 10,000 followers or a turnover of X amount, or so at least you've got something to aim for a year.
Yeah.
And then it will give you time to learn your company and then go, right, I want to take it from a man in a van to a company, or I'm happy to do this for X amount of time, like 1, 2, 3, 5 years, or the rest of your life.
That's beautiful.
There's no wrong or right answer. It's just more having a plan.
And we obviously, as a society, I think we need to normalize failure a little bit more too, and that it's okay. Like I think that's one of the best things about basketball and teaching kids basketball is your kid may make it, even if your kid makes it to the finals every single year, they're not going to win all of those. And every time they make it really deep into a playoff series and they fail, they're all going to cry. And
that happened on the weekend. Yes, we came second. Great achievement, but they didn't quite get it.
Izzy came second too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, so we know it. We understand it. You don't always win.
No.
And I didn't mention it in the videos, but I had a company previous to this that I invested a lot of time and a lot of money into it, and it didn't pan out.
Yeah. But you learned.
Absolutely.
And you grew.
Yep.
And it's you do have to, the reason it's important to do like the checklist and have a coach is because you learn how to make it to where when you do fail, it's still a forward progression and it's not something that's going to crater you.
Yep.
That's the worst thing is if you're unprepared,
Yeah.
that failure can crater you. But if you have a good support system underneath you and like the research
Yep.
is if I go and I say, all right, I'm going to sell this. And for the sake of it, I'm going to be selling this alarm system because I really like this alarm system. I believe it's the future. It's all cloud hosted. There's no hardware on site that has the server on it. It's wonderful. And then 6 months later, I'm like, I haven't sold a single one of these, but everybody's buying an Inception.
Yeah.
I need to be able to go, okay, I'm going to pivot and sell Inception.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just part of businesses. We all think we know what a client actually wants.
Yeah.
But actually knowing what a client wants is a completely different thing.
And that's the thing. Like I encourage people. There's a lot of research in here that they have to do, and I give them the basis of it. But you have to do your research.
Yes.
Like to get clarity and ask the questions. Like even for myself, like I'm interviewing other business owners in different industries, going right. What do you think of this? Like, would this actually help? And look, because I think it would, but if they go no, actually it's pretty rubbish, or it's displayed wrong, or the videos are average, or no, this is fantastic, or this would actually really help, that can lead me to keep going, or to pivot slightly, or to add things in. So even this, like asking certain questions, does it involve X, Y, Z, and whether it needs it or not, like it's 100% research.
That fine tuning and but the experimenting and like trying to fine tune and figuring out, that's actually part of the fun. Like
absolutely.
That's what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Is if somebody came to me and they're like, there's going to be this game and it's going to be LeBron James versus your daughter, and you can bet on who's going to win. I'm like, all right,
option A.
Yeah.
So
all right, cool. We kind of covered that. Now, for you, there has been this gigantic push in 2025 for personal branding.
Yeah.
So what is Winwick looking at? And I'm asking this as somebody who is also looking at personal branding and stuff. Yeah, obviously. Is there somebody that you're going to for coaching for that? Or is it something where you're just trying to figure it out on your own? What is your guys' plan?
So at the moment, I am figuring it out by myself. That's part of the learning. Again, we come from, so this is actually a different business model for us, which is actually really exciting. And that's kind of part of the learning for me as well. Like I'm creating my own website, doing all the video, the editing, the social media, because I actually want to learn that. Yeah,
that photo on the photo you haven't, that's sexy as hell.
Thank you, thanks, man.
Nice.
and so, but that's part of learning, like how to take a good photo, how to edit it properly, or the anything to do with that. So I'm learning that skill set where I can jump into a manufacturing or a hair salon company and run it relatively well. Yeah. So in regards to the whole personal branding thing, that's something that I'm learning. I wish I'd done it more for this.
Oh, yeah.
Hindsight. I should have done it 10 years ago. No, exactly. I'm too old. No, I should have done it. And so, again, doing a lot of research, there's a lot of people, and they push their course or so forth. Hey, look, this is what you need to do for 2025 or X amount. So I'm just navigating my way through that at the moment. So I can't give you any tips or tricks at the moment.
Okay. It's good to know I'm not alone.
I'll do the research and I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
So yeah, and that's the thing for people our age, like learning that skill set can be challenging, because you look at your kids and all that, but they take photos of everything and just it looks natural to them.
They grew up in it.
Yeah.
And to the point to where they, like, obviously we have the regulations and stuff coming through now to like lock it down a little bit.
Yep.
Like they've grown up in it so much that they're almost too trusting of the entire environment.
Yep.
So with that being said, so you're kind of starting all your social media stuff and online thing. How do people find Winwick?
Actually, I'm going to go back a step first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Yeah. So the whole brand, I really actually think having your company and having a personal brand is very important.
Do separate or the same?
No, separate. Because what happens if this doesn't work? Or you 100%, move on,
yeah.
or something like that's what I'm saying about this company here. Like we did a lot for Metal by Design and the hair salon, but we didn't do anything personal.
Yes,
and so we don't have that now. That's just kind of fallen away. So I really do think whether it's a man in a van or any business, you have to keep them separate. And yeah, that's.
I feel that also applies to employees.
Yeah.
So I'm a firm believer that having a personal brand is not necessarily about just me telling people what I had to eat. But what I want it to be is I want it to be something to where people who are in my circle have that trust with me.
Yep.
Like as they can look at it and they can go, oh, this person knows what they're talking about, or they've been doing this for a long time.
Yep.
And from an employee point of view as well, if I'm doing this and then somebody goes, oh, we need to hire somebody who's good at this, and they go, oh, well, I see that Jeremy person online. And similarly for the coaching thing, as you have more stuff going out there, people can go, oh, that actually is something that I need to do.
And that's exactly right. So all the team that we've had, we've always encouraged them to keep growing, and like whether we pay them for business courses or so forth, to grow their brand or their personal thing, because it works in tandem. Okay, so whether it's a LinkedIn profile and hey, look, I've got XYZ and I'm studying this, but I work at Metal by Design or whatever it is, it just links it all together. And we've always been on the opinion that no one's ever going to work for you for the rest of their life. So we'll encourage them to grow. And people that have actually worked for us have started their own companies,
which I think is amazing.
Yeah. And I get phone calls from them once a week or so forth and going, hey, look, I'm in this situation or that, and it works both ways. And so supporting each other, it's not just about take.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful.
Yeah, so to build that brand as a team member is critical. I think it's just as critical.
Yeah. I think it's Dan Martell, but he's always talking about how like he has the mission for the company.
Yep.
And he's like, look, similar to what we were talking about, that I always think of it as the rowing towards the island. That's where we're going. But he's like, look, your employees, they're not going to care about your mission. But what they will care about is if you care about their mission, and then you can get it to where it's going in the same direction.
Yep, absolutely.
And then that's how people kind of like get that team gets moving.
They literally get on board and go.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that. That's excellent. All right. So how do they find you?
Either the website, so www.winwickbusiness.com.au, or social media, which is Winwick_business.
Gotcha.
That's Instagram.
Yep.
So, yep. Google it, find it, and have a look at it.
I'll put it in the show notes as well. So there'll be links in the show notes so that people can find you that way.
And so the social media side, I think I'm building that. Like that's brand new. That's very brand new. So just trying to create that. So follow, make some comments, please, and help us out. And
as somebody who's also starting out, I can agree with that 100%. The more people actually interact with the content we put out, the more motivating it is to actually do something. Because again, it's that passion of being able to connect with people. And
that I love going around talking to business owners. So if you're a business owner and you want to interview, hit me up, because I actually love talking business and finding out about their journey.
Yeah,
it's not even to get something. It's just more. I actually like to find out how you got into business and your challenges, but also your wins and everything else. So,
well, that's what makes a good story, right?
100%.
Nobody wants to watch just like a win story.
No,
have some sort of
and that's the thing. That's what I put in the videos. Like there's certainly some down moments through the company lifespan and bits and pieces.
And I think that's normal, and we normalize that.
Yep.
Just consistency. Don't give up. Make sure you know your mission.
That's the one.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much for coming onto my podcast. All 13 people who watch it will love it immensely. Make sure you guys follow, like, subscribe. The same thing that it says in all the YouTube videos, because that's what all the cool kids do. But on a serious note, whenever you do follow and subscribe or sharing is actually incredibly helpful. It does help a lot with the back end. So if you don't mind, do that, please. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Perfect. See you.